Hello everyone, welcome to another lecture of General Medicine where I make a dreadful topic easy to learn. And for that, I shall be referring to the book on mind maps for General Medicine by MediStudyGo. This book contains every topic in pictorial format, as you can see under some headings which are very important for studying a topic in a categorized and story format, because that makes it very easy to learn. For a close look, you can see how each tab has a different heading and subheadings for every heading to be studied in a proper manner. You can memorize this topic easily and even take down notes just like I did. And I hope this video is going to help you. So let's get into the lecture for today, where I am going to teach you bronchiectasis. Starting with the introduction of the definition for bronchiectasis, it can be defined as an irreversible, abnormal dilation of bronchi and the bronchioles. So when the windpipe comes into bronchi and then further into bronchioles, the abnormal dilation and permanent irreversible damage of these is known as bronchiectasis. What are the main characteristic features of this situation? There is destruction of the wall of the lung and the bronchi. Secondly, there is impaired mucus clearance. That is, the mucus produced is getting bundled up. Thirdly, there can be recurrent infection because of the stasis of mucus, which is going to harbor the microorganisms over there. So these are the three characteristic features which you will see in bronchiectasis. Now, it is very important for the cilia in the alveoli and the bronchiolar tree, along with the mucus which is being produced, to work together in a synergy to create a well-functioning system. If at any time the cilia is working slow or the mucus is getting built up, it is going to cause the obstruction of the bronchiolar tree and thereby leading to obstruction. For example, it can be associated with cystic fibrosis, where the mucus secretion increases and this leads to obstruction. Secondly, there can be Kartagener syndrome, wherein the cilia are not functioning correctly, their mobility has decreased, and this leads to an increased obstruction because the mucus is not pushed as it should have. These two are associated with the occurrence of bronchiectasis. Now, Kartagener syndrome is a triad of bronchiectasis, sinusitis, and situs inversus, and is the most common organism associated with Pseudomonas aeruginosa. So, if whenever this microorganism gets inhaled by the person, it's going to cause an effect on the cilia. The motility decreases, that leads to an increased mucus presence in the bronchiolar tree, which is going to cause cystic fibrosis and therefore lead to an situation of bronchiectasis. Once we know the introduction, we need to know the types of bronchiectasis, which have been classified on the basis of several criteria. Starting with the first and the foremost criteria, which is the shape of the bronchiolar tree. First and the foremost is tubular or cylindrical. This is the most common, wherein a smooth dilation of the bronchi occurs. Suppose this is the normal bronchi, a smooth dilation in the same format occurs. Secondly, there can be varicose or bulbous dilation, wherein the dilation happens in several indentations. So there is some indentation present. Thirdly, there can be cystic and saccular dilation of the bronchi, wherein the bronchi they terminate in blind ending sacs. So sac is being formed. This is going to collect more of bacteria and mucus. Secondly, the classification can be on the basis of extent of involvement, which can be diffuse or generalized, and focus or localized. As the term suggests, diffuse is going to be bilaterally and widespread present in both the lungs, although it has a higher tendency for left lobe to be involved than the right lobe. And the focal one is associated to a single segment of the lung and doesn't involve the two lungs completely. So these are the types of bronchiectasis which are dependent on the shape of the bronchi which is formed and the extent of involvement. Next, coming on to the causes of bronchiectasis. What is the etiology and the etiologic agents involved? First and the foremost is congenital, second is acquired. Congenital causes, as we studied, can be Kartagener syndrome, cystic fibrosis, wherein the structure of the cilia or the mucus is getting disturbed. Secondly, there is acquired, which can be tuberculosis, suppurative pneumonia, post-viral infection, and bronchial tumor. All these, they lead to some sort of infection, inflammation, or obstruction of the respiratory tract, which leads to bronchiectasis. After we know the etiology, we need to know how the disease is progressing. What is the pathophysiology? So the pathophysiology is a vicious circle wherein when the etiologic factor or the trigger, it enters the respiratory tract, the inflammation of the bronchial wall starts. This leads to distortion of the supporting structure and the membrane of the bronchi. This leads to thick sputum being formed which obstructs the bronchi. Because if anything is inflamed, the body is going to compensate for the inflammation, and through that the mucus increases. This increased mucus leads to obstruction of the bronchi, which causes pooling of the secretion in the bronchioles. This leads to secondary bacterial infection, because just imagine there's a normal pipe and the fluid is flowing through the pipe. Whatever you add into the pipe, it is going to get flown away. Now consider the fluid is static. Whatever you add, it is going to keep on increasing with the time. So therefore, if the mucus is not being able to flown away by the cilia, it is becoming static. The bacteria which enter once, they're going to become stagnant and get added and piled up upon, which is going to lead to secondary bacterial infection. This leads to further destruction of bronchi, because primary inflammation or the acute one is going to convert into chronic situation, and this further leads to this destruction of supporting structures, and this vicious cycle keeps going on, and this leads to bronchiectasis. So this is the pathophysiology and the vicious cycle theory of bronchiectasis. If we come towards how the patient presents to us with, that is the clinical features of the patient, they are first and the foremost is chronic productive cough with copious foul smelling sputum. Secondly, there is going to be shortness of breath, because obstructed bronchioles means the air is not passing through and the blood is not getting vascularized by the oxygen. Therefore, the shortness of breath is going to be present. There's going to be wheezing sound, bilateral course crepitations, because the mucus, whenever the patient is going to inhale, the air is going to crack through the mucus, and that is going to produce crackling sound or crepitations. Next, there's going to be clubbing of nails because of improper circulation of the blood containing oxygen. There's going to be recurrent chest infection because bacteria are lodging in the chest, and also there's going to be weight loss, because if a poor body is present, the patient's nutrition is also going to get affected, appetite is going to loosen up, and that is going to lead to weight loss. So this is all how bronchiectasis affects the body of the human. After we know the clinical features, we move on to the treatment, investigation, and the complication part for bronchiectasis. What is the first step of management? First step of management is to recognizing the problem, and that is what comes under investigation. To investigate for bronchiectasis, the first and the foremost test which is important is chest X-ray and the sputum analysis. So sputum analysis can show three layers when it is contained in a container and left for some time. It is going to show a top mucoid layer, a middle mucopurulent layer, and a bottom purulent layer. So the thick pus or the purulent part is going to settle at the bottom, whereas the lightest mucoid part is going to float at the above. So this is how the sputum analysis is going to be positive for bronchiectasis. Then we can do gram and Zn staining to detect any specific bacteria or microorganisms present. We can do culture and sensitivity test for the same. Now chest X-ray shows us two specific features. First is Tram track opacities, and second is Signet ring sign. Signet ring sign is what this looks like, and Tram track is this because of deposition of mucus. And even on the scans like CT scan, we can see Tram track opacities as Signet sign rings. So these are two characteristic features seen in bronchiectasis on the imaging criteria. Not on blood reports or on sputum analysis, but on chest scan, which is X-ray and CT. Coming to high resolution chest CT, you see that is the imaging of choice, because that gives us thin sections of each part of the lung and we can visualize everything clearly. This also shows the characteristic signs. Also, pulmonary function test can be done, though this is the last test which we can do, because through this we can see FEV, and that will be decreased in this case because the patient is not able to inhale, exhale normally as he should. This forms the investigation part. Coming ahead, we can also do some blood examination, because that is going to show us anemia, because the hemoglobin is not getting oxygenated with oxygen, and therefore the quantity of hemoglobin is thereby going to decrease, because the body will think hemoglobin is the problem, and some apoptosis can happen due to which hemoglobin is decreasing. Secondly, there is going to be raised ESR because infection is present, and leukocytosis is increased amount of WBCs and TLC count is increased. So this is how blood analysis is going to present. Coming ahead, the treatment of bronchiectasis mainly includes antibiotics, because it is an infectious disorder which is occurring secondarily to the infection by bacteria. Therefore, the first and the foremost treatment is antibiotics. Oral or IV antibiotics for 7 to 10 days is the first line treatment. And then you can do some postular drainage, where the patient is told to sit upright and some drainage can be done. Secondly, steroids can be given so that the immune response is decreased and the patient's body can work up a bit more against the immune system and come back to normal. Inhaled bronchodilators can also be given so that the bronchioles, which are of constricted diameter right now, can get dilated a bit. The mucus can get moving, the cilia can get functioning, and therefore bronchiectasis can be treated. Lastly, there can be surgical treatment wherein the obstruction can be removed surgically. And if such treatment or investigation which is performed is not done correctly or timely, there can be certain complications in the patients, which can be in the form of hemoptysis, which is blood-filled vomiting. There can be pneumonia, which is infection of the pulmonary system. There can be lung abscess, wherein pustules and abscess can be formed inside the bronchiolar system containing pus. There can be empyema and septicemia, which are both infectious disorders. The alveoli can be filled with the fluid and pus, which contains chocolate colored pus at some times if abscess gets formed. So these are the complications which happen if the patient is not treated timely and correctly. Now, whenever you're preparing a topic, the first and the foremost thing is to read about the topic. So my suggestion to you is either you go through this book or you go through the mind map on the app of MediStudy Go. Once you go through this, then you come to solving questions. The questions can be solved in the form of flashcard or in the form of MCQ. Flashcard is something which is one question on one surface contained with an answer on the backside. And MCQ is something which has one question and four options. Very good choice for NEET aspirants, which because that forms a main point for our preparation of NEET. Now, both of these things come in our app, and there is one stop for both these things. That is the MediStudy Go app, which is available on iOS as well as Android. You can easily download it and solve all the flashcards and MCQs for each question. And one more catch point, you can even create your flashcards of choice when you're using the app. So, for example, this one, what is the most common organism associated? As we studied in the starting, it is Pseudomonas subspecies, which is Pseudomonas aeruginosa. And if we solve the MCQ, a characteristic clinical feature of bronchiectasis is barrel chest, cyanosis, clubbing, or bradycardia. As we studied, it's clubbing of fingers. So if you solve such questions in the app, you can easily view the answer along with the explanation which is also given. So one stop for the data, the source, the material, and even the questions. And that is the app by MediStudy Go. You can easily download it. You get some free coins on the app. Use them to unlock the features and just study for yourself. It's going to be very interesting for you rather than studying boring topic like general medicine from some textbook. So you can use resources like mind maps, notes, videos, flashcards, MCQs. And if you're someone who likes to study via the book and mark everything in the book, you should definitely get the book from the e-commerce websites like Amazon, Flipkart, or maybe Dentalcart, and even the website of MediStudy Go. And if you like such videos and would like to study general medicine in this format for every topic under 15 minutes, then you must subscribe to the channel right now, like this video, and drop a comment below this video for any doubt you have or if any help you require. Keep watching for further videos and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.